So, we are here in Casamorra with Mike Parr, the master Mike Parr. So, thank you so much, master. I have 5 questions for him. The first one is, what does an artist feel when he uses his own body as a canvas or as a sculpture?
Well, he feels what everyone else feels. But more than the physical feeling is the mental consequence. And people have often said to me, why are your performances so extreme? And I say, they're extreme in order for me to think. But that doesn't mean I don't think before I do the performances. It just means that the performance enables me to think in a different way when I've done it. So the performance, in a way, is cathartic. So it implies not only a new relationship to your body, but a new relationship to your mind and to your memory. Because I think performance art brings repression to the surface of the body and to the surface of the mind. So it was Marcuse who said, the recherche de temps perdus, the return of the return of the repressed, is the vehicle for future liberation.
Thank you. What distinguishes a performing artist from a theatre actor?
My performances are all compulsive formations. They're ideas that enter my head and which I try in the first instance, and I know this because it goes right back to 1971, 72, when I wrote many instructions for possible performances. But it took me, there was a delay before I could really decide to do these things, because I wrote them down in the first instance to get rid of the idea, because they seemed so peculiar to me. Arrange for a dog to drink some of your blood. I thought, why would I do that? But the idea kept recurring to me. And with the early performances, the instruction was the preliminary form of a barrier to the realization. I wrote these performance instructions in the hope of dissolving the impulse to do them. But when the impulse couldn't be dissolved by the instruction, I decided to do the performance. But all of this is very different from what the theatre actor does. The theatre actor refines a response on the basis of a script in order to repeat the performance as the basis for theatre production. But performance art can't be repeated. In the essential sense, it's a risk at the edge of the present tense. So one brings oneself to the very edge of the present tense in order to precipitate this recherche de temps perdus. So it's completely different from the structure of theatre. And I've been very unrelenting in my position about this. I mean, Marina Abramovic, who's a friend of mine, entered this phase a few years ago where she proposed that other artists could perform her original scripts. But in that instance, she's no different from Beckett. So one of my earliest performances, and all of my performances are fairly extreme, I held my breath for as long as possible until I passed out, and I did this in front of a 16mm camera. Well, young artists are free to do this if they want to, but I couldn't advocate it. And so performance art has its own inner necessity, and theatre, on the other hand, is the production of an illusion.
Pain, the acts of resistance confined to the moment and space of a performance. What horizons of meaning can they open up to the user spectator?
What is that? Did you say pain?
Pain, yeah.
Pain. Mentally, I conceive all my performances, and I perform all of my performances in the absence of an audience. And this is another distinguishing feature of performance art from theatre. I have no interest in the audience. And when I do very extreme events in Australia, it sometimes causes an enormous upset. Well, my attitude is plain. If you want to leave the room, you leave the room. You don't pay to enter the room. There's no contract between me and the audience. If what they are witnessing is intolerable, if it exceeds their threshold of reception, then they can leave the situation. But it doesn't alter the course of the performance. So what I'm saying here is that I have no way of measuring the impact or the significance, or in therapeutic terms, the efficacy of the performance. And in a sense, both I, as a performer, demonstrate a radical freedom, but in demonstrating a radical freedom, I reveal the essential freedom and responsibility of the audience, because the audience is free to stay or free to go, but they're not free to alter the performance on the basis of their response. So what I'm really saying again is that pain is an imponderable, and pain can't be used to withdraw a permission for the artist to proceed. It's one of the problems now of our culture, that all kinds of behaviour now are adjudicated on the basis of a social normative. But this is not a good position for the artist, and it's not a good position for the culture. So performance art is a kind of extremism. You know, it's pericolo, it's danger in art. And it's very important that the trajectory of the situation be relentlessly defended by its advocates.
How is it possible to describe a performance to those who were unable to attend it?
Please repeat that question.
How is it possible
Yeah.
to describe
Yeah.
a performance to those who were unable to attend it?
It's not possible to describe it. But it's possible to show something of the performance. And in this position, my relationship with Zan Wimberley, my photographer, and my relationship with Kotaro Uematsu, my cinematographer, is incredibly important. And it's a crucial question, because in the main room, in the Sala Shimamoto, we'll install the montage in space and time. And it's maybe, I don't know exactly, but it's maybe the nodal points, the most difficult moment of 60 or so performances. It's not presented chronologically, so you'll see the very young Mike Parr in the company of the very old Mike Parr, and everything in between. And it's been structured as a montage in space and time, but it accumulates, and you get a tremendous sense, I think, of not recurrent themes, but of recurrent obsessions and obsessions and resistances and extremities. So it's very difficult to watch, but it gives a very strong after image of the performance reality. So I think the performance can be communicated in the absence of an audience. I think it can be revisited in time. There's these works now in Palazzo, in Foundation Mora. There's these works now in other collections, and these works now as a result of a very recent exhibition in the Museum of Modern Art in Bogota in Colombia. And I have the idea that it's an archive that can help artists research their own response to the idea of performance art. Will help them define their own difference in relation, say, to theatre or literature or even art itself, because I'm not certain that performance art is art. It might be psychopathology. And I often say, I'm incurable. I have no intention of being cured in my position.
And the last question. In your opinion, is the photographic documentation of a performance capable of restoring its meaning and artistic value?
Yes, I think it does, but it requires a special collaboration. And by implication, it means that it's the irony of the situation, or its deepest contradiction in a way, that performance art is often seen as antisocial, autistic, and obsessional. And yet, in order to communicate the remnant with conviction and depth, one has to establish a special relationship with one's collaborators. And I am grateful that I've been able to do that, because I am not a great adept socially. I'm a fairly withdrawn and reclusive person, but I have long continuing relationships with people like Zan Wimberley, and with Kotaro Uematsu, and with others. So, and my wife has been with me for
many years.
A long while, long while. So these people work intensely with me. So it's very interesting that we work together because we believe that we can communicate. So I'm very interested in this situation. I mean, I feel that all art comes from the outside and travels towards an ideal sociality at the centre. But of course there's no ideal sociality and there's no centre.
Thank you so much, Master. Thank you.